Hi folks, Purple Helmet here. I said in the last video that I'd ordered a couple of Breakers Yard guns and they've arrived, so I'm going to do a couple of videos on those. It might split into a series, I'm not really decided yet. But they came today. They came from BB Guns for Less. Now, if you go online, there's a lot of mixed reviews for them, and I can understand it to a point. I mean, they sell a lot of cheaper end stuff. That's the bottom line. Sell some good stuff as well, but with the amount of cheap stuff they sell, if you're not prepared to pay decent money, you're not going to get a decent product. So to some degree, you need to accept that there's going to be problems. To some degree, some folk out there have had real problems and they've made videos about that, and that's fine. But from my point of view, and I'm not endorsed for them at all, I've had great service from them. I do cherry pick my guns. I watch the Breakers Yard like a hawk, and I know what I'm looking for when it comes up a pounce. So I got these two guns in. One was $19.99, the other one was $29.99, so it's not a lot of money. Broken, unspecified faults, because they don't tell you what's wrong with them. You know, it's a bit of a lottery. So they came today. I've got a Well R2 Scorpion, which I've already got one of those. Bought this, might be able to get it working, might be able to make a project out of it, or it might just end up for spares. But I'm going to follow this one up in future videos, will come to that. But just quickly, the great thing about that is the gearbox is identical to the next gun. So this one is a Well R4 MP7 replica. I've wanted an MP7 for a wee while to play with. It's a Black Viper box, but it does have R4 written on the side, which is, you know, that is the Well model number. So is it a Black Viper? Is it a Well? Who knows? But it doesn't really matter. I've had a preliminary look over it, and it is a Marui replica. I mean, it's got all the ingredients that I need, even though currently it's not great. Fault wise, all that was wrong with this that I can find is the charger for the battery was kaput, it was dead. So I charged up the battery using my Turnigy charger, and lo and behold, and considering it's one of those wee rubbish batteries, it's got a good rate of fire. I'll make it better, but out of the box I was quite impressed. So I've already checked that the gun's clear, but you know, listen to this. Not the worst for $29.99, but it's a good wee gun. I like the weight of it. It looks crap at the moment. It was a transparent polycarbonate body, and it's been two-toned blue. But I mean, there's a fair bit of metal on it, enough metal to do the job. The sights are metal, the flash hider's metal, and it unscrews, reverse threaded. It comes off, so you can put a suppressor on there, so that's good. Simply just unscrews off like that. Adapter on, suppressor, that would look great. The slide rails are metal as well, and this one's a bit stiff. There you go, they're metal. The rails are all metal, and the body, like I say, it's polycarbonate, but polycarbonate is one of the toughest polymers you're going to get. It's one of the laminates in bulletproof glass, so unless I jump on this, I think it's going to be fine. So let's get to stripping it down. Right, this is actually quite easy to strip. It's actually quite a pleasure. Not a lot to it. So anyway, flash hider off. Got caught out with the thread again there every time. It comes off nice and easy. Underneath here you've got a button. Press that while pulling the front cap out. That just slides off. Now that is where your battery goes, and there's one in there. There we go, just a small battery there. That will be getting replaced with a LiPo probably. And this has actually got a good feature, you know, that Marui came up with and everybody's cloned, where you cannot fit a battery unless the safety's on, which is pretty good. So we'll take off some of the sort of outlying bits. Sights are just a simple screw. Right, to remove the stock, it's already extended. That button there is for extending it and locking it. You just pull up this recessed button that's in here and pull, and it should just come off. There we go. The rails, I'll take all the rails off just now and then that's done. Should be right. Just a couple of Allen bolts in each one. It's really easy. Other side. Top one of the bolts in the top one, that one I believe is a dummy bolt that doesn't actually screw into anything, so you don't need to worry about that. This one at the back is shorter than the other two at the front. If you don't put them in right, the cocking lever, the fake cocking lever which exposes a hop up, it'll get pinched, so make sure the short screw goes in at the back when you put it back together. And you'll undone the fake one there. And this top rail is pretty smart the way it's done. The top rail actually sort of pinches the whole top of the gun together, holds it all together, because it is made in two halves, the shell. But when it's together it's really solid. It's quite impressive. There we go. The wires for the motor are in here. You simply pull off. Not the best of connection. I'm going to improve that. I'll maybe fit a Dean's connector. Your fuse is in there as well. Let's get these screws off at the back. A smaller Allen key, I believe. What you've got at the back here is you have almost like two body pins like you get in an MP5, but you've got to do a small stub screw before you can take the pin out. I don't know if that's the same as the real one. I don't know if the real one just pushes out or if you need a tool for that. Something for me to look into, but that's how these work anyway. So that's the two stub screws out. Those should just push through. Yep, 1, 2. On top here there is a small screw. You probably won't be able to see that. You need to undo that to allow the charging handle to come off. That will just pull it out. Then the end cap is free to come off. If you don't take that off first, the end cap just won't come off. And that's really getting right into it already. I mean, that's the gearbox, and it does just slide out. The wires just need fed through. And that will pull. I'm going to take the serial number plate off. That's the wires just catching. It's quite tight up the top there for the wires. I'll see if I can improve that when I'm reassembling. Spacer just holds the gearbox a bit more snug. And there we go. Gearbox. Now that's the exact same gearbox that's in the VZ61. So the other VZ61 I got with this today, if I never build it, it'll act as a spare for this. This is a copy of the Marui design, but it does fall short. You get a lot of air leaks up here. You see how loose that is. That's just terrible. You can get new piston heads for them. In fact, I think I've got one here. Yep. And apart from looking a bit better, which doesn't really mean anything, there's a small O-ring down inside it that just nips that just enough to create a better seal. Still no perfect because it's so miniaturised, it's hard to get it all sealed, but that'll reclaim a lot of FPS if I change that out, because that's, I don't know if you can see the movement there on video, but that's going to be leaking a hell of a lot of air. But we'll strip down the gearbox in a little while to get the rest of the gun stripped down. The barrel and hop up. The hop up on this is, it's looking down it. Again, I don't know if you'll be able to see that in the video, probably not, but it's, you can see it a wee bit. It actually looks okay on the video, but it is off centre and it'll probably be inconsistent. Now what I tend to do with any gun I'm rebuilding, because it's so quick, requires little effort and works almost as good as the best hop up mods, I tend to flat hop the rubber, and when it comes to that I'll show you how to do that as well. Looking at this, I can see there's loads of grease inside the hop up, and that's because there's too much grease in the gearbox and it's just spitting it in there. And too much grease in there, it's going to eat the rubber down in time, it's going to stop it applying the right friction to the BB, so you're not going to get the hop up that you need, you're going to get inconsistent shots. But a good clean up, and even that hop up rubber in there, which will be not the best quality, that'll work well. Maybe not as well as a good aftermarket one, but it'll work well. Right, the front grip is held on by a circlip. Just try and pop this out. There we go. Nearly there. Can be quite fiddly. Circlip there. Then there's a pin, which is metal, and although the body is plastic on this, the pin for the foregrip is metal. There's metal support washers that it pivots on, and it actually goes through a metal sort of trunnion that's based on the front chassis and a sort of metal piece in here. So the front grip, although it doesn't feel strong, it doesn't feel the tightest, it's actually pretty sturdy. It's again, you'd have to really abuse it to break it, I would imagine. But that's as far as you would really need to strip it down to repair it. That is just the trigger assembly, some wires. I probably will split this down further because it'll make it easier to paint and refinish. Or maybe not, we'll see. Okay, off camera I split the rest of the shell. It's just going to make my job a lot easier, or well, it's going to allow me to do a much better job when it comes to putting a spray finish on this, because you know, anybody can just spray the gun, you know, all the switches, selector, levers, everything in place, and if they're happy with that, that's fine, but it's never going to be a professional job, and I like to get, you know, I like to get these good. So I've split the shell down. I wouldn't recommend taking it down to this level just for general maintenance, certainly. Lots of little bits that could spring out on you, get lost. Taking the roll pins out of the selector switch to get that apart, or the mock bolt release, you know, these tiny roll pins here and here, that's a pain in the ass. Along the top edge of the shell, you have these wee captive square nuts. Those can fall out on you and get lost. In here there is a spring and a small detent, and that provides the sort of click location when you're moving the selector switch. That can get lost, so you've got to be careful. But that's me got it completely stripped down. The two plastic shells, which are pretty sturdy. I mean, I'm reasonably impressed for a budget gun. Those are pretty good. I found more metal parts, which, you know, really pleased me. The selector switch, the mock bolt release, those were metal. The end cap at the back of the gun, that's metal. So the trigger's metal. The plastic inner trigger, you can see poking out there, that's like a safety. That pivots and it's meant to spring back out to that sort of position and not allow the trigger to be pulled back unless you pull that in first, like by when you put your finger on the trigger. However, like with all these cheaper guns, it doesn't spring back. So it's a nice wee feature. I might put a wee bit of time into finding a wee screw that fits, a wee spring, sorry, that fits down inside there, because I quite like that functionality. I like it on the Glock. The Glock's got it as well. You can see maybe see there it's got the sort of double safety trigger. Pretty cool wee feature, especially in an airsoft gun. All the parts over here, you can see there's a small detenting spring I was talking about that provides the location for the selector switch. Very easy to lose. The roll pins, very easy to lose. You know, there's a lot of little bits there now that if you're not careful, they're going to go and hide somewhere and never be found again. So I personally, just for general, I mean, you could do every mod you ever wanted to this gun without going to that level. This is me just being as perfectionist as possible with the refinishing and so on. All the metal parts I'll put in my media blast cabinet. I'll just blast them back to bare metal. Little layer of adhesion promoter, because zinc metal's a bugger to paint. Probably just matte black them. The plastics, the paint they've put on there is solvent based and it looks to have bit in pretty well, so I might just scrub that up slightly with a Scotch-Brite pad, use that as a base for a new finish. We'll see, there is ways to get the two-tone paint off plastic without destroying the plastic too much, and I'll maybe follow up a video with that in the future when required. But as for this, it looks like it's really sort of bit into the plastic there quite well, so I'll use that as a base primer coat for whatever sort of finish that I'm hoping to put on here, which I haven't decided yet. Might do it purple, some sort of purple camo to go with my helmet, just be a bit silly, or I might go, you know, the standard brand new matte black. I don't know, I'll have a little think about it. I'll need to get that hop up apart. It's not the best, really cheap little unit. I'll be able to make it work pretty well for no money, so that's going to be key. One thing that did impress me is the barrel. The barrel is a decent length for a machine pistol format anyway, but it's got a decent crown cut on there. The finish inside is dirty just now, so you're just going to see loads of rubbish, but the finish inside's actually really good for a cheap lower end factory barrel. That really quite impressed me. I'll probably put a tight bore on there or something like that anyway, just to maximise the efficiency of the gun, because the cylinders in these gearboxes are very small, so you really want to make the most of the air you're getting. But I was quite impressed with that. Might just run it for a while to see how it goes. We'll see. But anyway, right, next video, or next part to this video, depending how I edit it, I'll be opening up that gearbox and having a look in there. A lot of people are scared to open gearboxes, and they really shouldn't be. I mean, as long as you're careful, it's quite straightforward. There is a risk that when you open it, if you aren't careful, the whole thing under spring pressure can grenade open, and I suppose that's why people are scared. But if you're methodical and sensible, absolutely no reason why you can't go into a gearbox and perform basic maintenance yourself. I mean, this gearbox that comes with this is going to benefit greatly from an improved cylinder head, a good clear out of all the factory grease. I mean, people slag factory greases. It's probably alright stuff. I mean, it's slippy, it's in there, it's going to do the job, but there's too much of it, and that's why we're getting that problem with the hop up, and you know, just loads of lubrication everywhere and the gun not doing its job right. So clean that, give it new lubrication, just as much as it needs. Might fit metal bushes, that's the only thing that I would maybe change on it. It's got plastic bushes, if you can see them there, but they would do the job. I mean, they'll work. It's just me, while I've got it open, I'll maybe put some metal bushes in it, and it can't hurt. But yep, nice easy strip down, apart from the very last bit, which I can't see many people ever needing to do. So let's get on to the gearbox.